Today we are going to build a PC inside the beautiful and brand new Montech Sky 2. Now this case works a tiny bit differently than the usual case that everybody produces and even Montech produces. Instead of having front intake, back and top exhaust, this one comes with two fan spots on top of the PSU shroud. And because Montech is still Montech, they are still providing us with a out-of-the-box, ready-to-use experience. So out of the box, the case comes with 3 fans pre-installed. We have 2 right next to the motherboard, which are acting like intake, although they are looking like they are exhaust, but those are reverse fans. So the fan blades are, let's say, built like mirrors. They are essentially pulling air in from the side where usually fans would pull air through. So we have air coming in from here, and we have one regular fan in the back that is then exhausting all of that air. But Montech was still not done because we have those 2 spots in the bottom, and you will get another reverse fan included in the box. So you can slap that one up there and you have airflow going straight into your GPU, which is great. No matter what Montech case I opened until now, it was always, it works out of the box. Nothing, you don't need to add any fans, it just works. It's a Montech principle. For the color scheme, it's going to be a bit special because the case is not just, black or white, it's blue, but it's not just any blue, it's Morocco blue. It's supposed to be some kind of special edition. I don't know how long it will be around or how many Montech will sell, or if they will just call it special edition but sell it until the case dies. I don't know about that, but it does look damn special. It's a very beautiful color. It's a special color. It's not the usual stuff. But what will be going inside of this? Well, first up, we are going Intel, and we are going for the 13600K. I don't know how good the CPU is yet, it is still factory sealed, I have not used it yet, but in combination with that, ASRock sent over a Z790 Legend, Steel Legend motherboard. It is a damn beautiful board. It is partially white, partially like that aluminum heatsink color, which is usual for Steel Legend boards, but I think in combination with that Morocco blue, it's going to look amazing, which is also why we go with the 13600K. Now, I could have gone with an i7, i9, everything, but I also wanted to use the dusty, rusty old Gigabyte RTX 3070 Vision that I have lying around, because it is also partially white and also partially like aluminum color, which I think the color scheme will be fine. For cooling, I'm going to do something a bit weird. We are going to go with also Montech's newest edition, the Metal Premium DT24. Now, we already did the review on this one. It's a very interesting cooler. It was completely overpowered for the 130 watts that I was pushing through it on the regular test bench. But what we are going to do today is use that low noise adapter and just push the fans down, because this thing does not, or I suppose it is not producing nearly enough heat for this cooler. So that should be working fine, and I just need to set the RGB to white to make sense in this, but look-wise it will probably look very, very fine. For cabling, we have white cables, but I have no clue who produced them. There is no brand on there, and I have like a box full of nice looking cables, my nice looking cable box, but I have no clue who. Maybe Asia Horse? But I don't think so. It's cables. Houston, we have a problem. I have 2 GPU 8 pins, and the 3070 Ti uses a 4 pin or a 8 pin and a 6 pin. Everything's okay, everything's okay. I found a 8 pin where I can detach 2 of them. So for the cables, we're going to use those white ones with the aluminum, let's say, like a cable holder, which is also, again, color scheme. Everything is working fine today. Then for the SSD, where we have the first Samsung 970 Evo Plus, because there I have Intel 13th gen drivers on there and everything. So that's the reason. For the RAM, we are going to go with Kingston's Fury Beast, because it's DDR5, it's a DDR5 motherboard, and I have never used them before, so this is the perfect opportunity. For the power supply, I went a bit overboard because our friends at FSP sent over one of their, what's it called, Hydro PTM 1200 watts power supply, and it is platinum. So you will never need 1200 watts for this system. There is absolutely no way. This is way too much. I get that, I know that, but I mean, it doesn't hurt, right? And I always want to try. Wow. Oh my god, this is fat. I have a thing for oversized power supply. Now what's really cool about this, ignoring the fact that it's fully modular, is you have something that they call eco button, which I would definitely not have called eco button, because what it's essentially doing is activating or deactivating the start-stop function of the fan beneath 30% load. So I will put it on because let's take 30% of 1200 watts and we will maybe under full load for mark and everything else running, there we will be above that 30%, but for the rest we will always be beneath, so this fan will do essentially nothing, which is exactly what I wanted to achieve. And here we got all of the cables, I suppose. A beautiful bag full of cables. Oh wow, they bundle everything together. Here we have 24 pin, we have VGA, CPU, and one SATA. Wow, this is one bundled system ready, and this is another bundle with another 4 graphics, a couple of SATAs, and Molex. Why does Molex still exist? Well, good job FSP, everything is ready. Wow. There are quite a lot of very interesting things about this motherboard other than just the usual, you know, overclocking and whatnot features. Like for example, the absolute overload of M.2 slots. If you saw when I removed that M.2, yeah, let's call it heatsink, there were in fact 2 M.2 slots and not just one as the length would have suggested, and in fact it seems like you can use both of them in case you have M.2s that are shorter, the shorter ones with B type or something. So if you got 2 of those, you can use both slots from both sides, and I think that's interesting and very useless at the same time, because you have an unusable M.2 slot if you use like regular M.2s, which it doesn't make any sense for me. But if it is like not possible in any other way, then yeah, I mean that's one way to do it. And then additionally to that, we have one like M.2 hyper slot just underneath it, and at the very bottom of the motherboard we have another few slots, 2 I think, which let's say you would use like the shorter ones, we would end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is a lot. That's a lot of freaking slots. And then what we also got is a Wi-Fi module in the bottom, of course with included antenna for those who are willing to sacrifice latency for Wi-Fi. And we got a pre-mounted bracket in the back, which for some freaking reason is reinforced AF in the back. And the only thing that I really do not appreciate about this motherboard is the fact that this does not align. I have no clue why it does not. It looks hideous because it doesn't, and I already tried to loosen up the screws and reposition it, but no, it is just not straight, and I have no clue why, and it annoys the crap out of me. I have not used the motherboard before. It's brand new out of the box. Why does this not align? The screw positions. This does not align. Why does this not align? It looks hideous. That's I don't want to call this like quality control, but come on. I mean, if you're planning to build a beautiful build and you got that's not, no. ASRock did a very bad job with that heatsink there. Okay, let's put everything inside the case. If you look behind me while I was doing anything here, you may have seen that I have a lot more of these fans lying around. I think one of them is normal spinning, and we have another 3, if I recall correctly, which are reverse spinning. And Montech did not send me another few packs of them, no, they actually sent us 2 of those cases, and it's actually quite the funny story how that happened. We got the case like, I would say a month ago, and I was here in the studio, and I think FedEx or UPS, I don't even know, I think UPS, they called me up and they were like, yeah, could you please come to your house we have a package for you. And as always, I just tell them, yeah, leave it behind the house, whatever. I will pick it up in an hour. And they were like, no, we can't do that. You need to sign this package. So, okay, I went home and the delivery guy was waiting for me. And he was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that the content, but he knew that it is PC case. It was like written Montech PC case all over the package. And he was like, yeah, I think this one is done. And I was a bit shocked, like, okay, yeah, I saw that the box had like a indentation / like grip on the side, and what I believed is that the case just fell or something fell on the box and it ripped apart one edge of the box, which isn't a big problem. I mean, that happens all the freaking time. So I told him, yeah, maybe not, but he's like, yeah, I'm sure this one is done. So I was okay. And he was like, yeah, do you want to send it back? And I was like, yeah, let's see what happened inside. So I pick up the box and you could immediately hear like shattered glass going all over the case or all over the carton. It was horrible. And he immediately proposed to me to just send it back, you know, don't accept the package, he would write it off, and then Montech or whoever sent it to us would have to deal with it. And I said, no, let's wait. I will take the box, and that way I can, for myself, then determine if Montech did something wrong with the packaging. Like if they could have prevented this by, for example, double boxing the case and all that kind of stuff. So I took the opportunity and I brought it back to the studio. Then I opened it up and I immediately saw that there was glass on like the plastic wrap that was around the case. And then I saw that, holy freaking moly, the case was not just a bit destroyed, somebody hit it with a forklift. Like that thing was done, completely destroyed. So I removed as much as I could from the case and I did my, let's say, amateur analysis of no, Montech could have triple packed the case, nothing would have prevented whatever happened to this poor fella. However, as lucky as I am in this case, all of the fans were working fine. One of them, the one in the back, the normal spinning one, which would be this here, had like the RGB diffusion thing popped off, and I thought the fan was done, but actually no, I was able to just pop it back on and voila, we have a perfectly working fan. I tried and tested it outside, it works fine. As do all of the reverse spinning fans, so now I have an army of them. Of course I wrote Montech and they responded pretty quickly, like they responded with the usual, we are sorry, but I don't think it's necessarily their fault in like any way. I mean, sure, you could have triple packed the box, but that would not have prevented whatever happened to this case. So in my opinion, Montech didn't do anything wrong with it. However, they of course immediately sent us a new box, which then again took a couple of weeks to arrive. So that's why we are kind of in speed mode here to finish the case, finish the review or film the review and everything. But I really have to give Montech a lot of credit, because not only did they send us a new one, which is, I mean, they could have just not sent it, but then we would not have been able to do a review, or the review would have been very negative, like the case is broken. But they also send us like a video of them, how they try to test cases, ready cases for shipping. Like they made a full-on video about case box dropping and in different positions. Like they have a freaking machine where they throw cases onto the ground and after that looking at the case and determining if the case is safe for travel. I mean, how cool is that? I didn't knew that they do that kind of stuff. I thought they would just eyeball it and say, okay, this is enough or this is not enough, which would also be fine for me. I get that. You don't have to do that kind of stuff. But no, they actually do. They test cases for dropping damage before they, I don't know, release the product or whatever, which is really, really cool. And now I know that. And I really appreciate that they send over all of that stuff. So, you know, now we learn something new about all of how the industry works and all. But yeah, that's really, really cool. I think it was a really smart move from them to send us over that video. That way we, and now you, know that they are in fact really testing cases before, or testing the boxes of cases before releasing a new product, which is really freaking cool. Now we know that. We learned something new. I love the fact that the cable holes are like angled away from the case in here. I think that looks freaking amazing. Damn, does this look beautiful. Hey. And then the last two for the GPU, but here I need to make sure to not route in the other forced 8-pin, but the 6-pin thingy. Tick, tick. Okay, almost everything is in, but before we can put in the GPU, we need to talk about cooling. So for the CPU, we have that Montech Metal DT24, which is an overkill CPU cooler, and we already have like the little noise adapter, which is plugged in. For this case, we have two 120 spots in the bottom, and we have additional 3 in the top. Now, for the bottom, we got that normal reverse fan that Montech includes, which makes a lot of sense to use it. You have to, you can push air into your GPU, which is amazing. Now, in case one day Montech does offer these as standalone products, you will be able to put another one on there. And I don't want to say I have a problem, but between the bracket and the power supply, we have this. Or let's be a bit scientific today. My problem, I will still do it, but I have a bit of a problem with, between the PSU and the top of the bracket, we have 7.6 millimeters, which is really not a lot, 7.5 depending on where I look, but it's really not a lot. However, I will still do it because it will direct the air at least into there, and we have 7.5 millimeters. I mean, it's not a lot, it's definitely not a lot, but it will work. For the top, I would have preferred to have a lot more, but I mean, we need to kind of work with what we got. Note for future me and everybody else who is planning to build inside this case, put those fans in before you put in the motherboard. Your CPU cooler may create an issue. Like in my case, I can't get in like the back 2 screws here, which is, yeah, that wasn't my brightest moment, but we would just pretend like they are in there. Now for the top, I wanted to do something slightly different, which I can only do because we got that one reverse fan left from the broken case. No matter if you have like the side intake or the front intake, it really doesn't matter. If you put a fan in the very front of the case, it will essentially just pull out the air that you blow in just beneath it. Like let's say front intake, air comes in here, it goes up there, and you just lost it, which doesn't make any sense at all. The front fan spot is most of the times very useless or counterproductive. In this case, the same thing. Air gets sucked through the back of the case because we have like the mesh filter in the back. It gets blown into the case and the top fan would just like pull it out. So you just lose all of this, which doesn't make any sense at all. It does make sense in the back where you push all the air to the back of the case through the CPU cooler, and then it can be like pushed out up here. So a thing that you could do is reverse the front top spot. Now this will not always work. Why? Because let's say you have 3 fans in the top and you blow out hot air in the back, there will be the possibility that the front fan will just suck the hot air back in, which doesn't make any sense. However, in this case, what I wanted to try is we have 2 fans. So I would take the regular spinning fan, which will be sucking air out of the case. I will put that one back here, which will help the rear exhaust, so we get all of the airflow coming from here into the cooler, out here, partially out here, and the 2 back spots are sucking it out. And of course also the ones in the bottom are pushing everything up. And then what I will also do is take the reverse spinning fan, because it looks identical to a normal fan, and I will put this one in the very front. So in this case, air is going to be sucked in through here and pushed from here down here. So you get that huge airstream coming, and then those 2 are just, pushing everything back up. It might work, it might not work, because the possibility still exists that the front fan would be sucking hot air in. Now, the reason why I'm not that much concerned in this particular case is that we have 1 spot in the center which will not be utilized at all. I don't know if that's enough. I guess that if you would use 3 fans, that it wouldn't be enough and that you would end up sucking hot air in. I just hope that in this case this will not happen. I cannot guarantee it, but I can test it basically by putting my hand in like below the fan, and if I can feel hot air instead of cold air, I know that I screwed up. Well, it looks a bit odd, I will say that, but I think that it might practically work very well. Let's just connect all of the new fans. Now we have 1 reverse spinning fan left, and I could put this one also up here. However, it would also, the position, the problem is the position, it is also partially above the CPU heatsink, and in this case it will also blow like air up here, which is immediately reflected because it is also being pulled in here. So I think this would just create like a triangle of air doing basically nothing. So no, I will leave this one out, as sorry as I am, because now we have that one spot left which looks a bit hideous, but I do believe that this is like the best case scenario performance wise, and in the end we are going for performance. Okay, everything is tucked in and ready. Let's put the front glass back in, but before we do that we do that one peel of the interior plastic. Perfect, perfect. Interior plastic first. And I can't even see what I'm doing there. And now... After our usual round of benchmarking and temperature testing, I can say that the system works perfectly fine. However, I think it's a little bit hot. Like, we are reaching almost 90 degrees C on the CPU and about 80 on the GPU. And although that's fine, the GPU is perfectly fine, no problem there, but I do kind of believe that the CPU is kind of hot. And for the Metal DT24 review, I said that, or I believe that if you ramp up the load, the cooler may perform better compared to other ones. And in this case, we are pushing like 170 watts through the CPU, and reaching 90 degrees C for that with a cooler that thick, I don't know, I kind of feel like it's a lot. It's a bit hot. And I also did remove and threw away, I don't know where it is, I removed that low noise adapter because I reached 90 degrees C, and as it turns out, nothing changed. It just became louder. And so yeah, it seems like the cooler is still not hitting like its thermal limit, but I still kind of believe it's hot. Like, it's essentially the same thing like it was for the review. It's kind of hot, but you can push it down and down and down and just nothing will change, which is interesting. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Other than that, we also encountered an issue with the RGB and fan controller in the back. Somewhere between me testing the case and me putting it together again for this video, that thing just died. The ARGB connection and all of that works perfectly fine. It's not that. It's the fact that no matter what I do, the fans will spin at 100%. Like the 1700 RPM they are pushing, it's just all the way through. It doesn't make any sense. If I use the same port with just a single fan, it works fine. But as soon as the ARGB controller is concerned, or the PVM controller, it does both. But I don't know if it's the plug that has a problem. Like, you have a PVM plug that you need to connect to your motherboard. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. But that thing died between then and now. And that's fine, and it's even finer because I have not yet recorded the Sky 2 review, which I'm going to do like in essentially 5 minutes, so I can add that. That being said, performance-wise, it's fine. It's weird for me to look at a 3070 and say, well, now it's a mediocre GPU, whereas I still remember like it was yesterday that was like the newest crap, the best of the best you can get as a gamer, and now it's like mediocre at best. And yeah, but just have a look at the benchmark. It was kind of expected that although we are using just a i5, considering how much more performant the Intel 13th generation is, it was kind of foreseeable that the GPU will be kind of the bottleneck here. I would call this at best like a upper class working PC. Like the i5, the 13600K does make sense if you do a lot of work. Not yet video editing, but like, you know, heavy Excel, that kind of stuff. So this does make kind of a lot of sense in the way that you can use a 3070 as like dual, let's say 4K displays in case that you have like 32-inch displays. You do weird kind of stuff. You can't really run those with very, very bad GPUs, so you need something, and then you have the i5 to round everything off for work, but the GPU is not good enough for gaming, and the CPU is not good enough for real work, so yeah, it's kind of the middle ground there. But still, for gaming, it's very much alright. It works perfectly fine, even a bit too fine. It would be a lot better if you would pair that 13600K with something more appropriate, like, I don't know, a 4080 or 4080, whatever they will call that thing now, like that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's okay. It's okay. For the case, I love building in it. Temperature-wise, everything is fine except for the CPU, and I do believe that it's more on the fault of the cooler. Like if idling, it doesn't make any sound. Everything is very, very quiet and cool. Everything works fine, but under load, I don't know. I need to test this cooler with different loads because something is really not working there. Or it seems like it's not working very, very well, but we will see it in the future. But okay, I hope you enjoyed this video about building the Cloud Chaser, because Cloud Chaser makes perfect sense. The thing is blue and everything else is white, so Cloud Chaser. Yeah, sometimes I come up with good names. I hope you enjoyed it, but if you want to continue watching, have a look at my attempt to hardline water cool my own editing rig. Fun fact, I was planning to do it in 1 or 2 days, and it took a whole week. Yeah, it was a amazing experience. Anyway, thank you for watching, and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.